What's Taylor Heinicke's week been like from your perspective?
Hectic. I think he's done a nice job. Really thought he did a good job today with the game planning, handling the reps, and I think he's pretty excited.
Ron, it seems like a lot of the players are excited to play with him too and kind of see him get his shot.
Well, I think a big part of it is especially in the last few weeks, he's taken the bulk of the Wednesday, Thursdays, and he's looked good in practice. He really has. So I think the guys are excited to see exactly where he is and what type of abilities he has, what's he capable of doing for us, and we'll see. I mean, it could be an exciting time. I know it's definitely an exciting time for him, and I know he wants to prove a lot of the people that believed in him right. And I think that's a real big thing for an athlete.
Is it possible to judge a player until they get into a regular season game against real opponents?
It's hard. If you don't, you have to have something to measure them against. Preseason is one thing, but regular season is completely different. It's a whole different animal, a whole different mentality, attitude. Believe it or not, it does change. It really shouldn't, but it does. And so it'll be interesting to see exactly how he handles it. And we're pretty excited. I know I am. I echo the sentiments of his teammates.
What is it about him that makes him made him the right guy out of camp and makes him the right guy to step in at this point?
Well, probably the biggest thing is, Taylor was with Norv at one time, so he knows the offense, and he's extremely athletic. He understands the game, and I think that's what helps is that he gets it.
Is it kind of the same thing with Shaq going to IR? Do you picture Jermaine Carter taking a bigger role?
Yes, Jermaine will get an opportunity to play a little bit more. It'll be exciting to watch him as well. He's a young guy that I think has a bright future in the league. He's done a nice job for us. He played well in the preseason. He played well early in the season when he had some opportunities. And once TD got back, it kind of we kind of shelved him for a little bit. But he played well in special teams. So it's going to be nice to watch him as well. I mean, we got some young guys that'll play a little bit more. Just an opportunity for us to take a look at them, and we'll see how things go.
The NFL gets stuck on numbers, height, weight, and all that kind of thing, speed, 40 times. When Taylor not quite there as far as the height and all that kind of thing, but what about him makes him unique to give him a chance to play in this league?
Well, I think, again, because he's a smart football player. He understands the game. He's got a good skill set, a good arm. He makes good decisions, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to see that on Sunday.
Obviously, he's not a veteran, but Christian's workload seemed like the rest day is going to come around every once in a while at this point.
Yeah, they will. And again, I think a big part of it has a lot to do with, the accumulation of the season. I mean, he's done a lot. He's one of those guys that just, he's very valuable. He stays on the field a lot. For the most part, it's something that, we'll most certainly have to look at once we get into the preseason and talk about, how we want to handle it going forward.
When you talk about younger guys getting more opportunity, do you also include that running backs room in this rotation? Cameron Artis-Payne maybe seeing fill in.
Well, I think a lot of it, does count on what Norv calls, and I think a lot of it is when coach gets into a rhythm, he sticks with what he's doing, and we'll see. It could be, and I don't want to say something that's going to hinder the play caller.
How much football do you think Thomas Davis has got left in him?
Well, I think Thomas is a good football player, and I think he's still playing at a high level.
You see, guys, obviously the organization hasn't committed to him for next year, but see a guy you think you'd like to have back?
I'd like to have Malt back, But I do. I think Thomas has got football left in him. I think Thomas has got quality football left in him. He's done a great job for us. He's played very well. He's a high-impact player. And, at the end of the day, things have got to get worked out for him to come back next year, and that's not my department. You know what I'm saying? And so what I have to do is I have to be careful with what I say and how I say it. You put me in a tough position by asking me a question like that.
Do you remember what your last home game of your playing career was like?
Yes. We beat Pittsburgh 1992.
Did you know that that was the end of your playing career?
No. I was a cap casualty. Played 9 years for the Bears, and in '93 they passed the whole new CBA, and there's a group of us, if you go back and look at it, that were kind of caught up in the middle of it, and it was the first time there was a salary cap, and it impacted a lot of players, and a lot of guys that were making middle class money were the ones that, you know, kind of bore the brunt of decision making. And, you know, it was kind of the changing point in the NFL at that time. You know, because you could, for what, you know, what they were paying me, they could have signed 3 rookies. So that's what happens. It's the nature of the game now.
Was it hard not having that definitive end? I mean, obviously, I know the players don't want to make it about them individually and their last games, but, you know, not having that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I believe me, you'd love to be able to be the one that makes the decision. I promise you this. At the end of the day, you know, it's happened in every phase of my career. And that's just the way it is. If you're in this game long enough, those things happen.
How much of a emphasis then does that emotionally have for you now to make sure guys are able to go out on their terms?
It's a big deal for me. You know, and one of the things I do talk to the guys about, not wasting opportunities more so than anything else. You know, I think it's real important that guys understand, you know, that you only get so many opportunities, you only get so many chances at playing this game. And while you're playing it, you got to give it everything you have. Because at the end of the day, when you don't do it the right way, people begin to recognize it.
Ron, I know it might be tough to actually comment on it, but with Eric saying that he's taken now 6 random drug tests in the 11 weeks he's been here, I know it's a policy agreed on by the NFLPA and the NFL, but I mean, is there a sense of concern brewing or protection over one of your players that maybe he is being targeted?
Well, all I know is I guess I read something about some mathematician saying that you know, it's hardly improbable, but it's definitely possible. You know, and that's the only thing I'll say about it. I'll say this: so if my name came up that many times, I'd buy a lottery ticket.
Coach, I know nobody's really asked you about the Falcons. What is this? What is when Taylor is starting instead of Cam? Does that change your aspect going forward against the Falcons this Sunday?
No, it's as far as I'm concerned, no. I mean, you know, they're a very talented football team, and you know, we've got to approach them just as if we're with whoever we're playing. Same thing on the defensive side. You know, Shaq's out, but you know, I'm going to approach it as if Shaq's playing. JC's a more than capable football player. These guys are on rosters for a reason, and you know, and we'd like to be able to believe we can continue to keep going. Good, cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raj.